Hello, everyone, and welcome back to I'll Watch What They're Watching, where we're curious and adamant about cinema. As always, I am one of your hosts. I am Kyrie.
And I'm Adam.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of some theater stuff. We both saw a new release, but then we touched on this last week, but we do want to kind of talk about Wicked and what that looks like overall. And then we're diving into continuing our little Star Wars exploration with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And I have so many thoughts about everything that we are going to be talking about today.
You always do. I think that's why we have a podcast, right?
That's right. So, you saw Frankenstein. You saw that, which was a newly released. You saw it on Netflix. Did you see anything in the theater this week?
No, not since we last podcasted. I will be seeing Rental Family and Wicked for Good this weekend, so I'll have two for the next one. But yeah, I just saw Frankenstein, which is on Netflix, so anyone that likes to watch new movies and doesn't want to get to the theater, excellent opportunity over the next few months. A lot of movies are dropping straight to streaming services that are big deals, like Frankenstein, like Train Dreams, like Jay Kelly. All of those are Netflix movies that are supposed to be considered in contention this award season, and I have hopes for some of them in certain ways. But yes, I saw Frankenstein.
So what were because I touched briefly on it a few weeks ago when I saw it, because I got to have a theater experience, but I didn't talk a ton about it because I knew that you still hadn't seen it. So I would love to, I want to dive into a little bit. I kind of want to know what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, Oscar expectations, the whole shebang.
Yeah, I really liked a lot of it that was there. And I actually have not seen any of the other Frankensteins. I texted you. I read the first 20. Yeah, and I read the first 20 pages of the book. For some reason, some of these old books, you can never read them on Kindle through your library. It's like, hey, read it on your phone through your library, but you can't read it on Kindle, and that annoys me. I don't like reading on my phone.
Interesting.
And so Frankenstein was that way. I read the first 20 pages, and sure enough, it does take place on ice on a ship, so that was accurate to the book and great. But I think mostly, a lot of striking visuals, a lot of contrasting colors, I think, that are meant to lots of reds contrasted with white and blacks in there, just to kind of give you some different feelings about death and life and creation. And so I really liked it from a visual aspect in a lot of ways. I do think it has a very Guillermo del Toro feel that's sort of magical or whimsy-ish, that's not quite lifelike, and he's been great. Anyone that's listening should go listen to a lot of his interviews for the press for this movie, because he's been just a delight talking about practical effects, just talking about his love for making movies and his deliberateness with so many decisions that he makes. I just saw one just today where it was him and Oscar Isaac, and they were talking about how Victor only drinks milk throughout the entire movie, and how it's the whole point is that he has no vices as far as alcohol or smoking or anything like that. And it's just this passion that drives him. But there's so many things like that throughout the movie. You can tell that it's made with a lot of care. I don't think it's perfect. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but I had a really good time watching it. I think everyone in my family that watched it with me agreed that Jacob Elordi's Frankenstein was awesome and really well done.
Good.
And I agree. It was really well done, really engaging with that. So overall, really, really happy with it. Anything else you would add to your Frankenstein experience? And you saw it in theaters, so you may have a little bit more perspective.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, which I really enjoy. I was very happy that I got to have that experience, seeing it on a big screen. It was my viewing experience was influenced by the fact that my girlfriend pretty much could not stop sobbing for the second half of the film.
Yes.
So that had an impact. I liked it as well. It's not my favorite of the year. It's not even my favorite Del Toro, because those who've been on this podcast, like I adore Pan's Labyrinth. I like Kronos. I like Devil's Backbone. I really quite like Shape of Water. So Del
Pacific
Toro
Rim.
tends to, yeah, right. Pinocchio, Pacific Rim. I've only seen once, so I will not give an opinion on that. But yeah, I did like it. I didn't quite love it. I don't know how many times I will go back to it, but I'm kind of with you. I'm like, I think, Best Picture nom, Director nom, it's gonna get 2 or 3 acting. My parents loved the film. They didn't quite care for Mia Goth. I thought she was pretty great.
Yeah, I thought so too. And she plays 2 roles.
Yes, she does. But yeah, I thought she was, which I didn't know that until I actually did some research afterward, and I was like, oh, she is, I did not know that.
They do a good job with just simple makeup to make her different.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to reveal too much about Frankenstein just because it is, a hot award contender. It is on Netflix, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone. It does take some liberties from the book, but not in the way that, like, 1931's Frankenstein does. But yeah, I think it's definitely a solid film, definitely an award contender. I was planning on seeing Little Amelie and then didn't feel good, but then I had talked last time we recorded where I was like, yeah, I want to see like Begonia, or I wanted to go see an awards contender, and then just because this is who I am, I was looking on like a Monday and like, okay, what can I go see this week? And I saw this random little weird funky looking Chinese animated film called Nobody, and because I am the person I am, I was like, well, I have to see that. It was only in theaters for like 2 days.
I love it.
I am the type of person that, like, I'll be in like a used movie shop, or like this is a great example with this movie where I'm like, wow, that looks really freaking weird. Gonna have to see it. So that's what I did with this one. I did feel kind of like the way I felt with the first time I saw Ne Zha 2, where I was like, the cultural context is a thing. And it's,
right.
I went in pretty blind. I read a brief synopsis and was like, that looks delightful and weird. Let's go for it. And yeah, it's, it would be like if someone from another country who had never heard of like an evil queen or the Wicked Witch or something.
Okay.
All of a sudden you're thrown in this story and there are these characters, these fairy tales, folklore that is just kind of embedded in who we are. From the time you're 3 years old, these caricatures at least. And I'm walking in and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who these people are. I don't know why this person's important. So I will say, like, I would like to watch it again, kind of understanding some of the things, but it's interesting. I found it surprisingly funny. There was most of the movie felt very aimed at kids. Some of the humor was a little juvenile, but it was pretty funny. The end was a little bit more melancholy than I expected for something that had just been like joke through the rest of it. Really neat art style. I would say if international animation is kind of something that you're intrigued by or interested in, I would say do a little bit of research on what it is, get a little context for it, but I'm sure it'll show up streaming somewhere. I thought it was fun. Again, it was in theaters for like 2 days in Denver, so I'm sure it's not playing anywhere right now, but I thought it was fun.
No, that's great. I'm glad you got to do that.
But kind of the big elephant in the room that we want to talk about, so to speak, Wicked.
Wicked, yeah. So this will be Wicked release days when we're releasing this episode. Mm-hmm. Unless you live in Yakima, Washington, then you have to wait till Friday. But yes, Wicked.
So Wicked for Good, I did a little bit of research. It's shorter than part 1, not by much. It's like 2 hours and 15 or 20 minutes instead of, pushing 3 hours. We talked a little bit about it last week. I am excited to see, because on the stage production, the second part is kind of rushed. Some things don't quite make sense.
Yeah.
There's some exposition left out, so I'm curious with them kind of taking some more time, how that will kind of play out, if that will be to its benefit. I'm very excited to hear Cynthia Erivo sing No Good Deed. Yeah, just overall, I'm kind of curious to see the things that they're gonna bring into play, what they're gonna add and expand on.
Which As we, but as we talked about last time, you are a big Wicked fan, and you haven't seen the first until now. And so I think
Yes.
everyone wants to hear if it lived up to the expectations, which were technically low.
Yeah, so I went into this movie being like, I remember when they said they were splitting in two parts, I was like, that's so dumb, I hate it. And then when I found out the first movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes, I was livid. I stand by that the 2 hours and 40 minutes is a ridiculous runtime. It is insane. I think I am firmly in the, yeah, maybe two movies was a good call camp, simply because
Really?
I do think, well, I do think that, I mean, the stage production is almost 3 hours. It's
Okay.
2.5 hours. And as we've talked about, the second half is a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So I can get on board with, okay, part one does its thing, and then, defying gravity brings the house down. Great. Give act two a little bit more room to breathe. Give it some time. Let's expand some things. Let's give a little exposition. So I think I can get on board with the two films idea. 2 hour and 40 minutes though it's absurd. It's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous that this
Mm-hmm.
movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, because like she's going to meet the wizard, and I remember I paused it and I was like, we have 50 minutes left. And I'm like, there's only two songs left in the soundtrack at this point. Like, what in the world? So I wrote down many, many thoughts. Yeah, like I said, to be fair, I did like it. I genuinely did. I had a good time. It started, and I remember like the music swelled at the very beginning, and I just went, damn it. My girlfriend goes to bed, and
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna like this stupid thing.
Yeah, there is something about, I think, especially the music. And I think for me, it was this somewhat of a familiarity with the music, but not like I
Yeah.
really, really knew it. And I think that's where a lot of people who probably, I asked you earlier this week over text, like, is there a YouTube version or something of the original cast? And it seems
Yeah.
like that's a little bit less kind of out there than a lot of other things. You said there's some different YouTube videos and things like that. So I think for me, it's like, oh yeah, this is really good music. You talk about defying gravity when the French horns come in kind of in the middle. It's just like,
Yeah.
it is that is some of my favorite just arrangement in almost any musical theater. But I think in two, like I think Wicked is similar to Barbie in that it was really, really
Okay.
commercially successful. And anyone listens to our other episodes, a big charts hitter to where very mainstream. Like I just heard
Yes.
my sisters when I was down visiting family the other week, and my sisters were like, "Hey, when do you want to go see Wicked?" Which is like a very rare thing. Not a very rare thing, but it's like a less there aren't very many movies. Like no one's saying, "Hey, when do you want to go see Rental Family with me?" Right? And
Right.
and my high school band teacher, he made a post on Facebook something like, "Okay, give Wicked all of the awards. Like every single part of this movie was perfect and should be." So I'm just saying you from like a
Yeah.
just a general audience perception and view of what Wicked is, it's this huge, huge deal. And so I think you're right. As soon as it starts, you're like, and I had the same feeling. So I went in with like the coloring's going to be bad and this is going to be bad. And it starts and you're
Right.
like, so this is actually pretty awesome.
I'll talk about all the issues I had, and then I will talk about the things I liked, because at the end of the day, I did enjoy myself. I enjoyed this
Hmm.
film. It's still too long. The backlights, what in the hell was going on there? It made everything look washed out. It made the lens look almost like dirty. It warped the color palette. It looked like crap. And Sarah told me about this, and then I ended up doing some research. The director still and the DP still defend that choice, which I'm like, okay, whatever. Go off. Like they're like, I think it's a beautiful movie. I'm like, you're wrong. But the problem, what they said is they wanted to make Oz seem like a real place, like a lived-in place. To which I would respond, That's not what I want from Oz. Like, Oz is this magical, whimsical place that's somewhere over the rainbow. Like, that's the whole point of Wizard of Oz, is the movie starts in, like, this sepia, black and white world, and then you enter Technicolor. Like, I want Oz to be almost, like, blindingly colorful. Just,
You know
like,
what it
in
looks
my
like?
face, magical. What?
It looks like the Western United States when you're on a road trip and you're just like going over
Yes.
sort of like these hills or kind of mountains around you during the winter time. There's not snow on the ground and it's just like kind of gray and dull, and there's some like natural beauty to it, but it's still just like very flat, very dull, very even Kansas,
Well,
right? Like if you just look at
yeah.
Kansas, which Wizard of Oz obviously, it's I lived in Kansas for a number of years, and basically the western half is flat and dull and gray. So why are you making a movie that looks exactly like that?
Yeah, and well, the moment that I really, like, first off the bat was like, this color palette sucks, was during The Wizard and I. Because she
Hmm.
runs out into this field, and I'm just like, why is the field beige?
That's the
Like,
exact image I had in my mind as I was
yes!
describing that.
So I was like, okay, it's beige. It's not even like a vibrant yellow. Like, that's the thing, is I was like, if you wanted to do kind of this cornfield type thing, make it like a vivid yellow. I think they should have just gone with like a grassy green, but who, what do I know? But I'm just like, okay, you have this beige thing, and then at one point there's a cliff and you see what's past the cliff, and I don't know if it's sand or just more rocks or something, and I was like, what is this beige on beige hellscape?
Yeah.
Like, oh look, there's more beige, and then both the water and the sky were this weak, like almost watery, like whitish blue. Like, that was my thing too, is when you see the Emerald City for the first time, it looks pretty good, the green does, but then it's against this like really weak sky, and I'm like, if you make the sky like this vivid, bright blue, that green is gonna look spectacular, and it doesn't, and that's
Yeah,
upsetting to me.
I also think it's it's a very good moment and powerful still in Defying Gravity, but I think that even looks pretty bad once she gets on the broom and is flying. It's like this
Well, it
could,
looks like CGI slop too.
yeah, it's like this just could be so much better. And so the worst, I
Yes.
can't remember if I might have already said this on the podcast, but the worst thing about this is that they did so much of it practically. They made the train and they did such a good job. And then
Yeah.
when they put the CGI around it, they made it look bad.
It looks crap.
What else? What
Yeah,
else?
there's I'll get to Defying Gravity in a minute because I have a lot to say about that. But like, yeah, the parts where she's flying with the winged monkeys following her, I was just like, why does it looks like bad CGI? I don't like
Yeah,
it.
that's too bad.
So yeah, just the overall color palette, there was like a filter over it that made everything look just more dull, less vibrant. I really had a problem with the way it looked. Not so much that it completely ruined for me, but like, I probably made a good like 7, 8 snarky comments where I was like, oh good, it's backlight again. I love how we can't see any facial expression the person is making because that damn black light is in the way. I hated it. Um, this also plays into Defying Gravity. The need to stop every song like halfway through and have like a scene or three, really terrible decision. Because you get in the momentum of the song. For example, I'm Not That Girl. And this one wasn't terrible. I was okay with it. But like, she's singing this song. She's longing after Fiyero. And then it has like this little cut scene where, Fiyero reunites with Glinda. And there were just moments in songs where like, it was like, time out. And they'd have like a little scene.
Hmm.
And then the song, like, and then the last verse would wrap up. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so with Defying Gravity, because I'm singing along, because that's what I do. I'm a theater kid and I love this thing. So, Defying Gravity was on and I was like, oh yes, yes ma'am. The amount of times that they stopped, because in the stage play, there's moments where they do that, where they're trying to break in and Elphaba opens the grimoire and she starts doing this flying spell. And Glinda says that, she goes, well, where are your wings? Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are. And then right after she says that, there's like this do-do-do-do-do-do-do on the stage play, and you see the broom enter. Glinda goes, where are your wings? Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are. And then there was like 30 seconds of nothing happening. And then you kind of see the broom. And then there's this like also minute-long sequence of her getting the broom. Like, I was just like, that's, I think, why it was so long, is there were moments that I was like, this should have been 5 seconds, and you have made it into 3 minutes. Why?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so that, I feel like Defying Gravity was the song where it did the most damage, because you're in it to win it. You have the first part where she's like, I'm through accepting limits, blah, 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 blah. And then you have this moment where she gets the broom, she's ready to go, and she looks at Glinda and she goes, well, are you coming? And in the stage play, she goes, oh, Alfie, you're trembling, and she puts the cape on her. And so she kind of does this and that. And it's almost this unspoken, like, Glinda and Elphaba look at each other almost like we're gonna, like, this is us saying goodbye. Like, I'm gonna go, and you're gonna stay. And neither of us is gonna change our mind. And in the movie, it just, like, I don't know, it just, again, in the stage play, she says, are you coming? And then it's their little, I hope you're happy now that you're choosing this. But it's, I hope you're happy, my friend. And then the guards storm in and they grab, and Elphaba fades into the shadows. They grab Glinda, and Glinda's like, no, let go of me. And Elphaba goes, no, I'm not. It's not her. I'm the one you want. It's me. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you care to find me. And so they do that in this one. But there's, again, like a 5-minute scene between those two parts. And so you're like, I'm in it to win it, I hope you're happy, my friend. And then the guards rush in, they grab Glinda, there's a tussle, Elphaba falls, and then there is like this, like, 3-minute montage thing. Like, I don't know, there was just Defying Gravity, that whole sequence was like 25 minutes long, and I am not exaggerating, because I paused it and I was like, you have Defying Gravity left. What are you doing for these other 20 minutes? Big problem with this is just me ranting about. We're gonna have to cut some of this out because
you're.
Yes.
For what? What's the point?
Because it throws off the entire flow and tempo. Oh, Dancing Through Life is another one where Dancing Through Life is like you're in it, boom, 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 and same thing in the stage play. There is a little like moment where Glinda gives Elphaba the hat, because she's like, oh, I don't hate anyone that much. And her friends are like, yeah, you do. She gives Elphaba the hat. This, though, it was just like, from the beginning to the end of Defying Gravity was, Dancing Through Life was like 20, 25 minutes. That's not how it is in the stage play. And also, the stage play is more fun to watch than for all of Dancing Through Life, because I don't know what was going on, but the choreography, especially in the library for Dancing Through Life, was crap. It was very... Because, spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know Wicked, Fiyero turns into the Scarecrow. That's a big thing that happens in part 2. And so the whole point is, like, you kind of want Fiyero to be fluid, and he needs to do a lot of that physical acting. And a lot of the dancing in Dancing Through Life is, like, stomping and really aggressive, like, jerky movements. And I'm just like, what's happening? I don't think it looks good. It also feels the stuff they're doing with like the circular moving thingies. It's one of those things where, first of all, the backlight makes it look bad. But I'm also like, it's cool. It's too small. It's very contained. And Dancing Through Life is one of those music numbers, kind of like One Short Day, where like the entire cast is on the stage. Everyone is on the stage. Everyone's doing different things. Everything looks good. Everything is kind of working in this massive, pardon the pun, but like tornado of, imagery that's really working together. And I didn't feel that way with Dancing Through Life. I was like, I want a wide shot of everyone dancing, everyone moving in unison. And I only got like one, and even then it wasn't that good. But I just felt like the dancing was also I didn't like the choreography. I thought it was poor. I thought it was really jarring. I'm sorry, do you have anything to add to my rant?
2 things. One, everyone remember that to Kyrie's own admission, you liked this movie overall. So just
I did.
keep that in mind.
We'll talk about that.
But number 2, I understand your criticisms of Dancing Through Life, but I do think that's one of my favorite scenes. And I did tell Allie after we saw it, I said, that's one of the perfect examples of the lighting being weird and just not like looking as good as it could. So I agree 100% there. I do think the moving thing, the twisting thing is pretty cool, pretty awesome. And I really like that part.
It is cool.
I understand why you feel the way you do on that specific. Do gotta defend my sexiest man alive though and say he does a great job.
I mean, I would agree. My complaint isn't his physical acting, because I think he did. I mean, when I was texting my family, like my live tweets, I was like, Jonathan Bailey is fabulous.
Yeah, we love
And
Jonathan
he
Bailey.
is. So that, to be fair, my complaint isn't with him. My complaint was the choreography. I felt like they were making the choreography. It almost looked like and felt like that band stomp. I don't. But the last thing that I just want to complain about, and then we can get into the things that I loved. I think Michelle Yeoh was miscast. And I think that's unfortunate, because I adore Michelle Yeoh.
We
And
both
I know,
love.
yes. And I know she was very nervous to sing, and I honestly think her singing was fine. You could tell that she wasn't a singer, but I think she did perfectly fine. I think it was very sweet, but I do just think she was miscast. I don't think she is a Madame Morrible character. I almost would have liked to see like a Michelle Pfeiffer in that role.
Interesting, okay.
I would have liked, because I feel like Madame Morrible is kind of your villain. The wizard is just sort of a sad sack fraud. Like, your villain, your really conniving, manipulative witch is Madame Morrible. And I don't feel like it's again, I don't think that it's necessarily Michelle Yeoh either. Like, I don't think it's necessarily her acting that is bad. I think she is just miscast, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree.
Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I really liked both of them. I thought Ariana Grande's comedic chops were really something special. I texted you this. I am really, really hard to please when it comes to performances of Glinda. I think that a lot of people either nail her airheadedness and not her, like, snooty meanness, or they nail her snooty meanness and not, like, her properness and not quite her airheadedness. I do think that Ariana Grande struck a good balance. The biggest thing is, like, my biggest complaint is just that she's not Kristen Chenoweth. So there were parts where she was singing some really high notes that I was like, that's impressive. It's not as good as when Chenoweth does it, but it's good.
Yeah.
And same thing with the comedy. Like, she was hitting some really good comedic beats, but I was also just like, it's not as funny as Chenoweth.
Yeah, I think she's a very, very good actor. You know, anytime she's on SNL, I think it's always a popular. They actually just announced it. She's hosting the SNL Before Christmas, which is kind of like the big deal slot that they get someone they really want, because she does a fantastic job. She's a very good actor and she's very funny. Yeah. I also think that outside of the movie, her and Cynthia Erivo, all of their interview stuff has been so interesting.
Yes.
Plus, it's been really, really crazy recently. There was like a fan that jumped out of the crowd at Ariana Grande, and Cynthia Erivo like got all up in the face to protect her. It was crazy. You should go see the video if you haven't looked at it. But then but I saw just today that they announced that they're not going to do a couple different press things that they would have done, and they're going to, like, they declined a couple big interviews that they're going to do. So it's been a big deal. I don't know if that's what you had too, but it's just been crazy.
I think they're also taking some legal action against the fan.
As they should. It's crazy. People are crazy.
But Cynthia Erivo, I really, really loved the way that she did Elphaba. I thought that her physical acting was really good. She does a really nice job of, at the beginning, she's very rigid, very stiff, and she kind of loosens up and softens throughout the film, and I thought that was really great. Also, I mean, her singing chops. Because I have a hard time with some of the runs. I don't love the run that she does at the end of Defying Gravity, because for me, Defying Gravity is the... And she's like doing... which I'm just like, whatever, that's fine, you can do that. But there was a couple other times I was singing along and she would do like a nice little run, or like she'd go lower or higher, and I was like, girl, do whatever you want. You sound lovely. Do whatever you want, queen. You're fantastic. I will say, there is a cameo with Chenoweth and Menzel, and they sing. And and I said this in my review, this might be my nostalgia talking. This might just be because I was so excited to see them. I do think that they should not have had them sing, because it just highlighted the fact that I think they are better.
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo is really fantastic. Ariana Grande is really fantastic. Like, they are both powerhouse singers. I am not discounting that at all. But Chenoweth and Menzel are like one of a kind. Like, They were both nominated for the Tony. Idina Menzel took it. Christian Chenoweth has won Tonys before. Like, it just, they're Broadway legends at this point.
Yeah.
And I felt like by having them sing, it only reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, they're really, 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 really great. So anyway, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, really great. I don't think I would have cast it any differently. Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero did great. I think they really captured, he's charming, he's charismatic, he's hot, he's overtly bisexual in this movie. And I think that they captured that really well while also kind of capturing his moral dilemma that he enters halfway through, which I really liked. Best part of the movie by far is the costumes.
Yeah, they're great. Did it win?
Costumes. I don't know.
I'll look.
Thank you. Were just amazing. I felt like they were the one part that I was like, yes, that is bright, that is colorful, that embodies the character that you're portraying. Like, just, I thought that the costumes were just really, really spectacular. Did it win?
Costume, it did, yes.
Yeah, it deserved it. Production design, there were moments and parts I really, really liked. There were times I felt like Shiz was sort of a Hogwarts knockoff,
Sure.
where I was just kind of like, okay, that's fine. But, like, overall, I really did have fun. Like, the theater kid in me was happy.
Design too.
Yeah, it had there was some production design I really liked. I still think the lighting was garbage, and I hope it's better in the next one. But again, the music is great. The people performing the music were doing a stellar job. I'm excited to see what happens with part 2. I am so glad it's shorter. I still don't think either of them should be longer than 2 hours, but that's me. To the surprise of no one listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did like it. It was one of those things that I was like, it had major problems. So, like, for those of you who listened to a few episodes ago when I had a rant about star ratings and how I feel about things, I've started doing what I think the overall quality of the film is, and then how much I enjoyed it, and then I've been averaging those two. That's my star rating that I put on Letterboxd. So I think the quality of this was a 3, because I do think it was more good than bad, but man, some of that was really damaging to the experience. But I enjoyed it at about a 4. Like, I had so much fun with this thing. So I landed on 3.5 stars. I had a good time.
Yeah, and I think I'm at about a 3.5 as well for this. And I don't know what I'm doing with my star ratings because I just have a hard time with it. But I am going to start saying if I love it, like it, or don't like it. And I definitely like Wicked. I liked it. So anyways, this is the episode on Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I was about to say star ratings, we'll see where we land on that. But Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'll give just like a tiny bit of background, just some pieces of context out there. I think, so obviously we went through the sequel trilogy, and that was Disney's first reading into Star Wars. And we already talked a little bit just kind of about, actually, I don't know if we ever did talk about it, but I remember when Disney did first buy Star Wars, and I was ecstatic. I was so excited.
I was not.
I was, had enough faith in Disney at the time, and I knew that it meant more Star Wars. And so I was just thrilled that we would be getting new Star Wars. And I think at that time, there was just so much talk of like, oh, there's going to be a Boba Fett movie, and we're going to do Obi-Wan, and we're going to do a Solo movie, and we're going to do... So there's just like so much excitement at all the possibilities of what was going to be happening. So as I mentioned, Boba Fett was floating around, Obi-Wan was floating around. Obviously, Boba Fett eventually kind of materialized into The Mandalorian, and then the Book of Boba Fett. And so Obi-Wan was originally going to be a movie, and it was going to be after Solo, and Solo did not do well. And so people then did not, Obi-Wan they kind of scrapped it for a little bit, but then they brought it back, and they decided they already had a lot of the pieces there, but they said, let's just make this into a miniseries instead of a movie. And that's how we get what we have today. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after we get into it a little bit.
Which that's kind of what Disney's been doing lately anyway. They're really loving the miniseries right now. which is fine. I really liked the character of Tala. So again, this for everyone, this is kind of a spoiler zone because we're diving deep into it. So I would recommend you watch Obi-Wan or at least read the synopses and then come back. But Tala is kind of this like mole in the Empire. She's kind of playing both sides. I find her honestly a really interesting character. I liked her a lot when she died because I kind of figured that she would die, and when she did, I was like, gosh dang it, because I would watch a mini series about her, to be completely honest. I really, really, really liked what they did with her. The other one, what's her name? Riva or Rhea? Riva?
Yeah, Riva. She's like the main Sith hunter, Jedi hunter going after Obi-Wan.
Yeah. For most of it, I didn't find her acting terribly compelling. I didn't find her a very compelling screen presence. But the twist that they threw in was it part 5?
Mm-hmm.
Where they were like, oh, she is a youngling who survived, and she wants revenge on Anakin. I was like, I'm into that. I am into that storyline. I would watch a miniseries about her because they leave it pretty open-ended where I'm like, I kind of want to see where she goes after this. Because obviously she's force sensitive. She's good at what she does. She was a youngling who saw all the other younglings killed. I thought it was a cool concept. Like, I really like that idea of her character. Would have liked to see that explored more. Again, would have been down to see that be its own thing. Didn't particularly care about the other Inquisitors. Couldn't have cared less.
Yeah, and it is kind of this weird thing of like they're new characters, but they're kind of not because of other canon things of like Rebels and some of those other things. So it is kind of this weird, or Clone Wars even. And so it's just kind of this like, yeah, it has this weird identity crisis of what it's trying to be at times. Is it, this kind of cool exploration of, we know that Obi-Wan was in charge of watching these Luke and Leia, and surely something happened between age 0 and age 18, versus is it kind of this Jedi hunt thing, and kind of weird, yeah.
We will get into the plot because I have opinions. I liked Leia. The first episode, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like the actor, but I really like the way this character is written. Over time, I was like, this is child actor. She's nothing spectacular, but I liked how she played Leia. I really liked how Leia was written. And I was glad that we got to focus on Leia more than Luke. I thought that was really fun. I liked that.
And this is coming from Luke's number one friend.
Yeah. I really, really love Luke, but, I know that Luke has been kind of beaten to death a little bit, and I liked that we got to focus on Leia.
Yeah.
I thought it was super, super, super great.
I think she's great to watch. I think she's fun, and you can see Leia out of her at times, and so it's just kind of just this exciting thing that you're like, yeah, that is Leia. That is exactly how she would be like.
Totally.
Minus some of the maybe goofy or silly scenes that they do have with her, but other than that, I think, really, really well done.
Yeah, and Ewan McGregor is great. He was doing great with it. And part of this is a plot thing, part of this is a character thing. I don't really vibe with depressed Obi-Wan. Like Obi-Wan in his depression era, which is most of the series. It's kind of like how the Luke in Last Jedi, I was like, who is this? This isn't Luke. I did feel that way a little bit with Obi-Wan, as I was like, Obi-Wan is not hopeless. Obi-Wan, he was just kind of having this, because at this point it had been 10 years too, and I'm like, I also have a problem with that timeline, which we'll talk about that when we get to the plot.
Well,
but
I think that the two inconsistencies I feel with Obi-Wan's character is at the end of Revenge of the Sith, they're like, hey, you want to go talk to Qui-Gon? And he's like, what?
Yes!
And so, it just seems weird to me. In that moment in Revenge of the Sith, we literally see him, hope beyond hope after all the bad stuff just happened in Revenge of the Sith. So it's yes, a lot of bad stuff happened, and he's going to be pretty sad in general, but you have that piece to really train and communicate with Qui-Gon. Like, why are you, which, again, spoiler, you do, of course, get that at the end, which is,
And when we get into the plot, I'll talk about the
you don't think it
timeline
was
because I think this timeline is all
an
screwed
effective
up.
payoff, but I
loved seeing Qui-Gon.
yeah.
I don't know that this movie should have been set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. I think the timeline of this is not correct. But anyway, so the two Obi-Wans that we do see before this is, you see the Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith who is like, I'm going to go to Tatooine. I'm going to keep an eye on Luke. I'm going to do all these things. And great. I get to continue almost like my Jedi training. Like, I'm going to connect with Qui-Gon. I'm going to enter this another phase of still being a Jedi. And then you see the Obi-Wan in A New Hope, who is kind of like snarky almost, like right at the beginning, because the iconic Obi-Wan line where he sees Luke for the first, hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid. And, he has these moments in A New Hope where, he's eager to train Luke. He's a little bit funny. He's kind of this very, he's why, like, I feel like the Obi-Wan I see in Revenge of the Sith is the Obi-Wan I feel like I meet in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
That through line makes sense to me. I'm like, yes, these are both Obi-Wan. This both feels like Obi-Wan. This guy, again, I'm like, he has this weird depressive state. He's been like this for 10 years. Why is he just connected? Because I love seeing Qui-Gon again. But I just am like, is this his first time seeing Qui-Gon since he and Yoda had that conversation? Because if so, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, and, maybe it would have made more sense if, like, he has the big emotional thing of coming face to face with Anakin again, and then maybe he gets into a depression for a while. I'm saying maybe if they had done it that way, or maybe he tried connecting with Qui-Gon, it didn't work, and so he got bored for 8 years after he tried for 2, and so that's where we are now, or something. I don't know, but I agree with you. I do think it, and it's kind of the issue. I won't spoil the Book of Boba Fett, but it is kind of the issue of, like, everybody wanted to see an Obi-Wan movie and an Obi-Wan series because we love Obi-Wan doing cool stuff. So we don't want to watch grumpy Obi-Wan not doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Well, because one of my notes, I was like, Obi-Wan gets weaker? WTF? Like, Obi-Wan doesn't seem like the type to just be like, well, I'm not going to keep up with my Jedi training, because he knows he's going to train Luke. Yeah, let's just get into the plot right now.
Yeah.
The amount of plot holes. So when Revenge of the Sith ends, that's the thing, is Yoda's like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to, you're going to be able to talk with Force Ghost Qui-Gon. Then 10 years pass. Is this the first time he's talking to Qui-Gon? Has he talked with Qui-Gon before and Qui-Gon's just not shown up for a while? What's going on? The fact that he did not know Anakin lived? Because the Inquisitors, reveal that. And he's like, Anakin's still alive? What?
I think I get that one. He left him burning.
Right, but at this point, I'm like, the Empire... I get that he's in Tatooine. He's in the Outer Rim. But, the Empire at this point is kind of legendary. And the Emperor is not the hands-on guy. Darth Vader is the dude pretty much running the operation.
I'm trying to think, because I don't think Obi-Wan ever hears specifically that Anakin is Darth Vader, but he does know the Sith work, and it's I think it's feasibly possible that he could have thought Darth Vader was some other guy.
Okay.
Or he's just deliberately, I think part of it, and you see it throughout the series, and you see it when he has that confrontation, is there's a part of Obi-Wan, I think, that is deliberately choosing to believe that that is not Anakin. I think even in Revenge of the Sith, when he knows that Anakin kills the younglings, a part of him is choosing not to believe that because that's not Anakin. So I think it's maybe some of it is more of that, but you're right that it is played as this big reveal where it's plot consistency wise, it's like, I'm not sure that makes sense.
So I'm a little bit thrown off by them even having a couple of fights, because A New Hope makes it seem like they haven't seen each other for forever. And so between this fight and the fight then, it's 9 years. And so I'm like, yeah, that's a hot minute, because it's even one of those things where, like, I think when Obi-Wan gets on the Death Star, like, Darth Vader's like, oh, he's here. Obi-Wan's here. And Grand Moff Tarkin is like, are you sure? He's probably dead. And he's like, no, I'd recognize that anywhere. And then, like, when they have their fight too, he goes, when I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master. And it's like, you guys just chatted. Like, I mean, I get it, it's been 9 years, but also, like, to me, 20 years makes more sense. Like, are you sure Obi-Wan's not dead? We haven't heard from him in forever. He's just been chilling in the Outer Rim. So, just them meeting and their battles didn't make a ton of sense to me.
I agree. I think you're right. What I will say is I will watch Darth Vader do anything. And now, I'm one that's very much
fair.
Originality, original movies, original ideas. If Darth Vader's in it, I'll watch it. And I think that's how some of this, like, if you look at this as some cool fan fiction, like, I think the ending meeting between the two, and, like, part of Darth Vader's mask gets cut off, and, like, the lighting and everything, I think is phenomenal. I love it. I'm all there for it. Does it make a consistent viewing experience from 3 to 4? Maybe not, but that's not always. So I think this is a great time to say there is a fan who cut this series into a 2.5-hour movie. And
I did see that.
You can go and you can watch it. You have to, like, go to his website and create an account or something and watch it. But he can't take any revenue from it. And he basically says, like, at the beginning, it's like, hey, if you don't, you need to have a Disney Plus account to watch this. And I'm not going to take any revenue. I support all the creatives that did this. This is fantastic, but this is what it'd be like with the movie. And so he does cut a lot of the fluff out. I haven't seen it, but there's some articles and YouTube videos you can watch where he talks about it. But, like, specifically Reva's character, he gives a much better edit to where she doesn't seem, like, kind of dorky. She seems more, like, menacing and powerful and cool. Takes a lot of the Leia stuff with, like, her father and the really bad chase scene and some of those things out to where it's not necessary and it's not good. So, like, why is it there? But it is kind of this interesting conversation, like, and it's not just Star Wars, but in general, you see so much, like, effort into some TV shows or limited series. And it's like, why isn't this just a movie? Or why does this movie a TV show? Why is this TV show a movie? And it's just kind of an interesting time we're in, I think, with streaming and with things like this. And it's, I don't know if, or like something like The Acolyte, which we'll get into, which ended up canceling season 2. And it's like, I don't understand the finances of it. I don't understand the money of it. But I think in this case, this really should have just been a movie. And I think it would have done better on all fronts, is my opinion.
I think it's difficult to say. I think my biggest complaint is, I wish, instead of this being 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, I almost wish it had been 5, 4, 3. I think it would have made more sense with him communicating with Obi-Wan or with Qui-Gon. I think it would have made more sense that he didn't know, that Darth Vader was alive and out there. I think it would have made sense that with the Inquisitors hunting down Jedi, so riddle me this. Inquisitors, those were created for the TV show Rebels, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know, because I was like, ooh, Inquisitors, new concept. Because I didn't know that.
So, yeah, they're very, very present in Rebels.
Because I don't know that I like the idea of the Inquisitors just in general, because to me, they still feel like knockoff Sith. And and this is how I kind of feel about a handful of Star Wars things in general. I kind of want the Sith and the Jedi to be special, especially the Sith. Like, I want there to just be two. And I was okay with them kind of deviating that from a little bit in Clone Wars with Ventress, because I think Ventress is just really freaking cool. So I'm like, yeah, you do whatever you want with her. She's fabulous. With this, they do seem like Sith apprentices, is what they seem like.
Yeah,
And I don't know that I'm into that.
I think you're right. I think the issue is that anything that is like an action adventure or like a sci-fi, you kind of do have to have this line of like your grunt stormtroopers, and then the lineup you gotta have, the super troopers or the dark troopers, and then like a
Right.
lineup you have to have like something, and then you're gonna have your big bad. And so I think that's kind of where it has, and especially in Rebels, you do have Jedi, and so I think you have to have something equivalent that's not Darth Vader, because Darth Vader's like the pinnacle of what the series is going
Right.
to lead up to. And so I think that's where I don't necessarily love them all the time. And I think some of their designs aren't my favorite even, but I get in theory why you have to have something equivalent.
I guess I wish that they didn't have lightsabers.
Okay, sure.
I wish that they had maybe some sort of staff, or kind of like the guys that work for General
The
Grievous's
Red
guards.
Guard dudes.
Something that
Yeah,
could still withstand a lightsaber, but wasn't a lightsaber.
that makes a lot
Because,
of
I mean, because
sense.
you even have, for example, Mandalorians can give the Jedi a run for their money. Like, so I like the idea of some sort of, like the Inquisitors, some sort of like Jedi exterminators, like these Jedi hunters. I think that that's a interesting concept. Again, I still think 10 years later, I'm a little bit, I don't buy it as much. So I don't know. I felt like the story, I liked it for the most part. I wish that the timeline was a little bit different. I do think the script was a little rough. There were a lot of just general lines that I was like, that's not a good line.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty bad. So I don't know. I think some of the new concepts were interesting. Like I said, I would like to see a more about, I don't think we will, but more about Reva, more about Tala. I liked those characters. I will say this. The Obi-Wan Anakin flashback in part 5 was really cool.
But yeah.
Where it would flash back to them having a lightsaber battle. And again, like you said, their battle at the end, I enjoyed.
And I think to that point though that you just said, I think what this is, because I enjoyed this overall. Like I said, I'm a sucker for a lot of these things that I can just sit back and be like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome. But I think where this series kind of stands is it's like a collection of someone was like, oh, it would be really cool if Darth Vader was kind of
Yes.
like, his head was kind of messed up, and he was having these flashbacks of like the Clone Wars and training with Obi-Wan, and it was like really messing with him. We should show that
Yeah.
something. And they're like, okay, yeah, let's do this Obi-Wan series. And it'd also be really cool if like Darth Vader pulled down a giant ship at some point. And it's like, that'd be able to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's like these cool ideas and cool things, but the central, like, bringing it all together into this series, it's just kind of like, I don't know that this works great, but that's okay. I'll have a good time.
I think it also, now that I'm thinking about it, because I was like, man, the thing that I don't like the most is the whole melodrama of around Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I don't think it was necessarily those two characters. I think it was the fact that they made both of them very melodramatic in a way that I didn't feel was accurate. So for example, like I said, with Obi-Wan, I'm just like, oh, good. We have emo Obi-Wan. We have depresso espresso Obi-Wan. And with Anakin, he felt like Kylo Ren.
Sure.
With how angry he was,
They are
and with being like,
related.
no, I have to. Right. But
I'm kidding.
what is so terrifying about A New Hope is you see Darth Vader after the stormtroopers, shoot the rebels, and Darth Vader walks on the stage, and you're like, oh, snap. Like, that is the villain.
Yeah.
And throughout all of the original trilogy, Vader is this very calculated, very, because you can't see his face either, very calm. I mean, there's that moment where he's fighting Luke where he even puts his lightsaber down and just starts, and he's using the Force to throw things at Luke, and he's not moving. He's just standing there as things are whirling around him. And I think that, and we see a very dramatic Anakin in in episodes 2 and the Clone Wars and episodes 3. So that tracks. But for this being the halfway point between those two, he still felt to me a little immature, a little childish in ways that I was like, I mean, he is halfway to the point of becoming like the Vader that is straight up terrifying in A New Hope.
That's a good point.
So I think that's because there was parts too when you first see Darth Vader, and it's in this weird fortress that we've never seen before, and there's like this black stone throne that he's like sitting in. I was like, are we kidding? Are you kidding? That whole aspect of it, the melodrama of it, just felt very sequel trilogy-esque to me. And I think that is where I was not into it, as I was just like, these characters didn't feel like as close to the characters that I loved, which is unfortunate because I felt like there were moments where I did see that and I really liked it. Like I was like, yes, this is Obi-Wan and Anakin like confronting each other for the first time. Holy snap. I think that was my biggest issue, is these characters didn't feel quite like the characters I know and love.
Yeah, and again, I think you can kind of look at a project from like, is this a character study or is this plot driven? And this is something that wants to be a character study, but it's like we already have so much of Obi-Wan's arc. So like, how do you really have an arc in the middle of an arc we already know? And it's just, I'm not.
Because I was like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I don't think this not existing is a better option than it existing, period. Like, I'm okay that it exists, but I don't know that it's as good as it could be. And maybe there were better stories they could have written than this. And I don't know, maybe an Obi-Wan cameo and something would have made more sense and been more exciting. But I don't know. I'm not Kathleen Kennedy.
Right. Because I think I even would have been okay. I kind of told you this. I was like, I would have been okay with this almost being like one of the arcs that occurs in Clone Wars where it's just, I would have been okay with it being Obi-Wan on a fetch quest. Like,
yeah.
Because again, Obi-Wan is cool. I just wanted to see Obi-Wan again because I love me Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, he is one of my all-time favorite characters. I love Obi-Wan.
See, and it would have been a great, like, there's so many, like, retired cop movies, right, where they have to go back into action and do one more case. Like, all of that was there and kind of there, but I think it was like, this is still Obi-Wan. I think it would have been, like, we didn't have to make him so old and unable to use his powers.
It's because it sounds like he hadn't used his powers in forever, and I was like, bro, this doesn't track to me because, like, he knows that he's going to train Luke, and, like, when he does train Luke, he is still very powerful. Very, very powerful. Like, he does things in A New Hope without even blinking. Like, Obi-Wan is at the top of his game, so I don't know if he just got back at the top of his game after this, but that's the thing is, he shows up and he can't do basic stuff. And so, I think I would have just liked to see maybe earlier on, like a continuation of, almost like Clone Wars stuff. Like, I would have even been okay with the kidnapping thing, Leia kidnapping, if maybe, again, Leia was like 5. I don't know if that would have worked as well, because I did like the Leia stuff, but I don't know. I think that's where I struggled, is I think you're right. They wanted it to be this really kind of interesting character study, let's look at Anakin and Obi-Wan and what happens when they meet again. And it was like, no, I kind of just wanted like Obi-Wan just hopping around the galaxy doing his Obi-Wan thing.
Yeah.
I didn't need Obi-Wan to get his mojo back. I wanted him to still have his mojo. And I wanted him to do his thing.
Yeah.
And instead, we got this.
Yeah. But
so I'm with you. I don't hate that it exists. I don't know how quickly I'm rushing to see it again, but it's not like the sequel trilogy where I am just like upset at its very existence.
Right. I same feeling. I don't know how I would star rate it. Probably like a 3, but maybe 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Well, Adam, I got a question for you.
Hit me.
And that question is, what are we watching?
Why, I'm so glad you asked. Next, we are watching the very similar movies, the classic, you know, tension, thriller, horror elements, I'll basically anything you can throw at the wall, and that is, I don't know the year, 1996 or something, but Home Alone. Uh, we'll
Hmm.
be doing an arts versus chart of Home Alone and The Night of the Hunter. That's what it's called, right?
Yep, Night of the Hunter. I think it's 1954. It is a fabulous film. It's in the Criterion Collection. It's one of the first Criterions I owned. I love it very, very much. And yeah, we are pairing it with Home Alone.
Yeah. So this should be a fun episode because I think these have similar
Yeah.
elements, but are very, very probably far away from actually being similar movies, but it'll be fun to talk
Yes.
nonetheless. We are also watching Christmas movies because it is Christmas, and that's what you do
Mhm.
around this time is Christmas movies. You also watch lots of Studio Ghibli movies to prepare for our birthday months, which is coming up in January. So Ghibli Fest is happening. I saw that The Boy and the Heron is returning to select
Mhm.
theaters, I think, in these
It is
next couple
indeed.
of days. I think it is at a theater too far for me, though. I'll get some Ghibli Fest movies every now and then, though, so I'll have to keep my eye out.
I am simply not seeing it because they're only doing the English dub.
Oh,
And you
sure.
know how I feel about English dubs.
I do. I unfortunately am. Uh, I heard a clip of Robert Pattinson's voice in that, and he's just a creepy old guy voice that
I
I
mean, I've heard.
love. That I do want to watch the dub of that one.
Yeah, I've debated because I've heard, Ghibli does have some really good dub, and yeah, I've debated seeing Boy and the Heron dubbed. I just for the first time, I've only seen it once, and when I saw it, I was like, no, the first time I'm seeing it the way the director intended it to be seen, and that is with subtitles. But yeah, I've heard the dub of that one is pretty spectacular.
So far, Ponyo's the only one I watched dubbed. Through my watch journey, I've done subbed for everything though.
And what about? I thought you watched Totoro with your kiddo.
I watched about half of it before he
Okay.
came,
Okay.
so about half of it was subbed, half of it was dubbed. So I count it as subbed. And if you're also wanting to, we will Tom Cruise, who just received an honorary Oscar.
He
Tom
sure
Cruise
did.
is on the horizon for that. Very excited to talk about. Notched a few more Cruise films on the belt since last few weeks, and I'm very excited to hit a few more. So that is what we are
Yes.
watching. This is I'll Watch What They're Watching. We're always happy if you like, subscribe, and join the conversation. Share our posts, ask us questions, yell at us for bad takes. We're all here for it. So appreciate anyone that does listen,
Absolutely.
and hope you all have a great time.
See you next time.